Hey everybody, this is Rustin with Metalholic and the Examiner with us today. Finally, Seattle's Witchburn. We've got three of the quartet, Mischa, Jacy, and Jamie. How are you guys doing?
We're doing good.
You couldn't be doing any better, but
well, you could still be back on the road with Dio Disciples. How did that tour go?
Yeah, that would be even better, wouldn't it? Because that tour was amazing. Yeah, it was awesome. All the shows and just hanging out with those guys and listening to the stories of the late, great Ronnie, James Dio, and we were like kids in a candy store, man, every day just getting to hear good stories from back in the day. It was awesome.
Well, that's a great tour to have gotten on, especially for what is tragically, you guys are still unsigned, and I just don't get it because you're like the best band I've heard in years. You guys should be on a major label, not even a small one. So
we agree.
For you guys to pick up that tour, that's that says a lot about who you guys are and the respect you guys are garnering in the industry.
It does, doesn't it?
It does, absolutely. So
it was great to see those guys play every night.
Oh yeah.
It's like, hurry up, get off stage so they can get up so we can watch a killer show every night over and over again. We never got tired of them.
Yeah, every night they'd get done with their set and they'd come up to us. They're like, "What? You guys were watching the set again? Aren't you tired of us yet?" We're like, "No, man." Like, I'm saying I grew up on those songs. Like I was raised on that kind of music, and I grew up with Dio songs and Rainbow songs and Black Sabbath with Dio. I've loved those songs my whole life. I'm not going to get sick of them in 1 month worth of touring, and getting to watch them play it every night. It was just so cool. Yeah.
Absolutely not. And there's so much talent in that band because Ronnie always surrounded himself with such great players. And for you guys, did you guys get the opportunity to sort of talk with them about, the guitar, the bass, the drums, the vocals, and all that stuff, and learn some new tricks from them?
Oh, yeah. We all had in-depth private conversations with all of them about everything, and it was just a wealth of knowledge those guys could spew out over just the course of one beer.
Yeah, and we were really lucky that right before our last show with them, we actually had the night off, and so we all got to meet up, and we all met up and had dinner and sat around the big table and had drinks, like a big old family dinner, and just sat and told stories. And Simon Wright was just like, "You guys are great, just keep doing what you're doing and never give up," and and just he I don't know, they were all very encouraging and very much like a big brother band. They just kind of took us under their wing and really took good care of us on the road and treated us really kindly for the level of musicians that they are. There was absolutely no ego, and we'd get done with shows and with our set, and they'd come up and, "Nice set, you sounded great tonight," and they'd sit at the bar and drink with us, and they just treated us like gold. They really treated us like family, and it was amazing. And the thing about that is that they would talk about Ronnie and the fact that it was always very important to him to treat the opening bands really well, and they, not that they wouldn't do that on their own accord, but they made sure to mention that was one thing that was important to him as well, and that they were, felt obligated in that sense to carry on the tradition too. So, but we all learned so much from them. Yeah, just watching, I know for me, this was really the first tour that we were on that I was in awe every single night by the vocal prowess of Tim, the Ripper Owens, and Oni Logan as well, because, every single night they just sounded amazing, and they're so powerful, and especially Ripper just blew my mind. That man just gets up there and destroys it. He blew all of our minds every night. But, even Mischa, I'm not going to tell her story, but I know she got to go a couple times on the bus and just have some really deep, awesome conversations with Craig Goldie. Oh, yeah. He's, everybody who's seen Craig play knows what an amazing musician he is, but we had some really cool bonding moments and a lot of good conversations just about, the zen of guitar and performing as a guitar player in a band and things like that. But, it was awesome just to have the opportunity to hang out with him and talk about things like that, and just to bond that way and have him call me the half sister that he never met and stuff like that. It was really cool.
So what's the one nugget, the best nugget that you took from him in terms of improving your guitar playing or new trick or technique?
Well, the thing is, I'm really very much a perfectionist. We're all our own worst critics, right? And I'm always just striving to do better and learn more and be more, And the one thing that he said to me that just really pierced my soul at one point, he just looked me dead in the eye and he said, "Listen, you are perfect." He said, "You are so genuine when you play, and you put everything you have into every note that you play, and that's what people see. So you're perfect." And that was just kind of the most amazing thing anyone's ever said to me. And I got, a little bit emotional at that point. So it was crazy, to have him tell me just realize basically that if you're putting your heart into it, you can't go wrong, and just getting me to remember that is what I'm doing, and that's why I'm doing this, and that's what's important,
Well, I think that really comes across in your guys' music, and that's one of the things that I've been talking to with people a lot about lately, is because in the 90s and the aughts, with all the technology and the Pro Tools and everything and all the cut and paste and everything, we've sort of gotten away from that organic nature of everything and that heart and passion that the old classic players used to put into everything, because they didn't have all that crap. It was all real and raw, and you guys still have that element about your sound and your style, and especially your live performances.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we agree completely. That kind of technology and cutting and pasting on everything in the studio really does take a lot of soul out of music, and we very much try to capture the vibe more than anything, and stay away from a lot of the cutting up of the tracks and stuff like that, because
we don't want to have anything out on an album that we can't perform live.
Yeah.
We don't want to set our fans up for failure, because I know for me, the worst thing ever is to hear an album and fall in love with it and go see them live, and it's awful.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, what happened to the sound that that I heard on the CD, on the album?
Yeah.
Why isn't it
there?
Translating into their live performance,
Same goes for why we recorded with Jack and Dino again. We don't layer the guitars. We don't layer the vocals. It's Witchburn live in the studio.
Yeah. That for us, it's just really important to make sure that the feel comes across in the recording more than perfection, technical perfection or whatever. It's about heart and soul for us,
Nice. And I want to talk about the new recording and everything. But first, because, I've been an avid fan for a number of years now and everything, but I want to take it back a little bit, if you don't mind, for all those people out there that are going to be listening to this and reading this that haven't yet discovered you guys. Give us a little backstory on the band and how it all came together and how you sort of developed your sound and style.
Well, basically, Jacy and I have played in bands together for years, and we were in a band before this one that ended up playing with another band that Jamie was in. She was singing for Hell's Bells at the time, and,
right.
And we were in another band. We played a show together, and I had this idea in my head for a long time about a band that I wanted to put together, with a sound that was bluesy and harkening back to the Black Sabbath style sludgy rock and roll, and I just had a lot of ideas and some very specific things I was looking for, and one of them was the right voice that could bring these words and concepts I had in my head to life. And the very first time I ever heard Jamie sing, I realized that it actually did exist within her. So she and I started talking that night and started writing together that week. And we actually had hired another girl to play with us for a little while. Then Jacy joined the band not long after that. And 3 drummers later, we had Dana, and the girl who originally played bass with us ended up leaving the band right around that time. So Jacy put down the guitar and picked up the bass when she set it down. So that brings us to the 4 that we are now. Basically, it was just the idea that we wanted to do something that you could really relate to as a kid growing up, loving heavy metal and being kind of a misfit or an outcast, and just the way that we were when we were kids, for whatever reason, being ourselves or whatever, we were just kind of outsiders. And, all kids seem to go through that in some way or another, whatever it is that is important to you, whatever you believe in, whatever makes you different and special. Sometimes there's kind of a hard road that you have to travel to come to terms with the fact that there's nothing wrong with being yourself, no matter how bad people might want to make you feel for it.
Right.
So, to embrace it and just stand up and be you. Yeah. That's kind of the idea behind the way we write and the ideas we put to our songs, And
what's great about it is that we all come from very different musical backgrounds. I mean, Mischa grew up with listening to Kiss and Sabbath and just the old 80s rock and the Dio, but the Guns N' Roses and all of that Hollywood glam metal, and Jacy grew up in the punk rock scene, with Bad Religion and Dead Kennedys and Sex Pistols and all of that, and I grew up in the church, not even allowed to listen to secular music unless it was Patsy Cline or Johnny Cash or just the old country rock kind of.
We love as well. We like to add a little Patsy Cline, not so much to Andy Grant, no, but the Johnny Cash and the Patsy Cline. There's some good spirits to embrace within our writing too.
And heart. For me, a lot of Ann Wilson and.
Yeah. But she didn't hear Led Zeppelin until she was 19 years old, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's the melding of the minds and the places that we were coming from were so different, yet that common ground where, powerful music meant so much to both of us.
And that's why our music sounds different than anybody, because we're not trying to be anyone's band, We have so many different influences that, it is genuine, and it's we're kind of we don't really want to fit into a genre because we don't. We're kind of one in our own,
Right. Well, and hey, Johnny Cash was metal before metal knew it existed, so,
Yeah.
There you go. So, and you mentioned it a little while back, because when I first started listening to you guys were a 5-piece, and then there were 4. What was it like? How did that transform your sound, if at all, to go from a 2-guitar band down to a 4-piece? And Jacy, for you, what was it like setting down the axe and picking up the bass?
Well, Witchburn was the first band I had ever played guitar in. I was originally a bassist in all my previous bands. So our first instinct was to try out other bass players and remain a 5-piece. And we did, and it would have worked out. And then after an audition, I dug out my old Fender Precision that I'd had since I was 14 and told the band, let's just try a couple songs just for fun to see what we would sound like as a 4-piece. And we did, and halfway through the first song, and by the end of the second song, there was a feeling in the room that this is what it needs to be, this is right. Yeah. We were looking at each other like, wow, this is really cool. I felt great going back to bass guitar. You could hear Mischa's guitar better. I wasn't trying to keep up with her on guitar. It was heavier and more solid and more coherent. So we booked a show, and I invited some of my close friends out and said, hey, man, don't blow smoke. Tell me the truth here. We're playing our first show as a 4-piece. If it sucks, tell me. And if it's good, let me know. And it was an overwhelming response that people were even telling us they liked it better as a 4-piece. So after that show, there was no going back.
Yeah, there was no question. I mean, these were, musician friends of ours that we really respect the opinions of, too, and somehow, going back and listening to, live recordings from shows and things like that, we're somehow it sounds more streamlined and at the same time heavier somehow. It's just, it works better for us.
Yeah, it just became really tight and heavy and really just became like a machine, all the cogs just really fell into place and connected, and it was just, it was how it was meant to be.
Well, and it's funny, when you take one of the guitars out of a 5-piece band, usually there's a lot of air in there, there's a lot of holes in the sound, and it's just not as thick and powerful. And when I first saw that you guys had stripped down to a 4-piece, I thought, oh shit, here we go. And then I went and looked at some of the live videos, and I'm like, holy hell, you can't even tell that there's no air, there's no holes, it sounds awesome. And immediately I was like, relief. They're still sounding awesome and full. And, of course, the first question in the back of my mind is, wait a minute, Mischa plays violin too. How does that work? Because she can't play the guitar and the violin at the same time.
Well, luckily, I can strum a guitar, and I can hold down a rhythm section. So there's going to be some surprises coming up in the next couple albums. So
nice. Well, I'm looking forward to all that. And you had said something earlier, and I wanted to jump back to this. You had said, when you first met Jamie, you really felt you found that voice and everything. And having first heard Jamie myself in Hell's Bells and everything, you have an incredible voice, Jamie. But I've noticed in the few times I've gotten a chance to see and then sort of following the YouTube videos, your voice has really got even better. There's more power, there's more control, and you're really growing into it. And I just wanted to mention that to you. So,
oh, thanks. Yeah, it helps also when you get to sing songs that you wrote and it's your passion, and you get to, because with the Bells, I was mimicking two singers that aren't really known for their prowess.
Yeah.
They're more known for their balls and like that screamy power, that edgy kind of thing. And with Witchburn, I really get to explore more melodic options and ideas, especially with Mischa's riffs that she writes, and I'm not shredding my vocal cords up where, the type of singing that I get to do now, it has really helped me build up that muscle, and so thank you. It's nice to know that it's noticed.
Absolutely.
Outside of the band,
Absolutely, and I can't wait to hear the new material you guys have been working on, because I want to hear the progression from the first album. This is How We Slay Our Demons. Now, you guys got the legendary Jack and Dino to produce that. How did that whole thing come about, where you actually got him? I mean, that says a lot in and of itself, that you got somebody like that to step into the studio with you guys to record your first album. So how did that whole come about? How did you connect with him? And then we'll get on to talking about the new material.
Well, we met Jack when we all played a show together. Witchburn actually did a show with Jack's band, Candy Coated, that he's in with Jamie Lynn, the professional snowboarder. Jamie Lynn sings for that band, and we played a show together, and Jack just ended up really liking the band, and we started talking about recording together that night, and he was just really excited about it. He's like, I could record the shit out of you guys, just like, was totally down. So we went in and did the first record with him, and we all loved working with him, obviously. He turned out a cool product that represented us pretty well. So he's Jack, he's a mad scientist, So when we were getting ready to record the second record, it was actually a huge compliment that he started emailing us saying, hey, when are you guys going to be ready to do the next record? I'm so ready to record the 4-piece Witchburn, like he was just super in telling us that he was doing the record before we had even asked him if he wanted to do the record.
Yeah, I was just happy that we had landed a show with one of Jack's bands and got to open for him, and was stoked that he would get to see Witchburn, and for the fact that he started talking about recording us that night was excellent. So, of course, we were in. Couldn't wait.
Now, and you guys started recording again this fall, I understand, because, originally you were going to release the album this fall, and I haven't seen it unless it's come out, and I've been blind and haven't heard anything. Are you guys?
No. We finished recording it was like in midsummer, I think, and then we got it mastered a couple months ago.
Yeah, a few months ago. It's done and ready to go. It's we're just kind of sitting on it, just waiting to line things up in kind of a specific way before we release it. But it's ready to go, and there's a couple songs that you can hear on KISW right now. They play it, like Sunday nights when they do local stuff. And then like sometimes in the 9 o'clock feature during the month of December, you'll hear local stuff. So there's some new Witchburn material popping up on the air, but the album is not exactly ready to be released yet. The artwork has just been finished, which is really exciting for us. Yeah, our friend Justin Palm, Mr. Jacy Farquhar, has done a really amazing piece for the album cover, and I mean this guy is incredible. Look him up online. It's JP Farquhar, Farquar, and he's just an amazing artist and a really, really dear friend of ours. So we're putting all the pieces together to release this epic thing that we're really, really proud of. But you can check out little bits, and we have an EP actually too that we put together right before we went on the Dio tour, because it's actually kind of an interesting story that we were doing a cover of Black Sabbath's Mob Rules because we had to learn how to cover, because it was part of the, like, if you're going to tour in Spain, we want you to do the TV show called Radio Trace, but you're going to need to do a cover. Yeah, it was like, the requirements for that show, you got to do a cover. So we chose Mob Rules, and this was, over a year ago. We said, well, let's do that. We love that song. So that was the song that we were playing as our cover for that tour. Every night for like a month in Spain, we played Mob Rules. And then, came back to do the record, and we're in the studio with Jack, and we're like, hey, we've been playing Mob Rules, and we think our version of it is pretty cool, so let's just go ahead and put it down since we're in here, So we recorded it and thinking, the idea was it's a bonus track, maybe we'll use it on compilations or, different stuff that comes up. We were not planning to put it on the record at all, so recorded it to have it kind of in our back pocket, and then all of a sudden this opportunity to tour with Dio Disciples comes up. We're like, well, how about that? It's kind of perfect, like the album's not coming out right now, so we went ahead and just put together an EP with a couple songs from the new record, a couple originals, Der Hexenhammer, and one called Shuffle Up and Deal, and then we went ahead and put the Mob Rules cover on there as well, and you can get that at our shows for like $5,
Nice. And you guys got to, when you did this tour, I think that was in the U.S., unless I'm mistaken, wasn't that like the farthest east you guys have really toured away from the Pacific Northwest, or have you guys done larger tours before?
We've done a couple of large tours, but this one went further east than we've ever gone. We went all the way up into Maine and a couple shows in the state of New York.
Rhode Island.
Yeah, we went to Rhode Island, man. It was awesome to go up to the Pacific Northeast or the Atlantic Northeast.
There you go.
Whatever it is over there, but to go to Maine, and we showed up, and a friend of a friend showed up with a whole cooler full of beer and fresh lobster that he had caught that morning, and we were really just did well up in Maine, and we like Maine. Yeah. Yeah, it was amazing there to get over to the East Coast, because there are a lot of people that still hold that classic rock, classic heavy metal, it's a lot more prominent out there. It's not so much of the styrofoam radio rock that you hear, passionate fans over there that still hold that stuff very near and dear to their hearts, and they show their appreciation, man. They know how to party. They rocked out hard, and it was awesome. Yeah.
Absolutely. So what is the new album called?
It is called Bathed in Blood.
Bathed in Blood, because obviously the first time This Is How We Slay Our Demons kind of went in line with the whole Witchburn philosophy and everything. How did you choose the title for this one?
Well, as does everything we do. It's all part of the philosophy, and we're just continuing on that same journey that starts from deep within. A lot of it deals with a lot of like the cathartic rituals, the catharsis of how our music does help, purge the heaviness from inside, and when you're dealing with heavy stuff and pain and personal demons, and it's more purging, more cleansing. The whole process of writing it for us and recording it and performing it, it's all catharsis for us. So that's what it's about.
So do you have some date in mind yet for this new album to actually get out to people so they can hear the whole thing?
Not a specific one, but we're hoping spring, at least by around springtime, we're hoping. It's definitely within 2013.
for all of those who are in Rhode Island and Maine and everywhere else who maybe listen to this even overseas, is there a way for them to get their hands and ears on the EP to tide them over in the meantime? Are you guys offering it online, either in a digital format or a disc format?
We don't have anything for sale digitally, and it will be available within the next week or so on our personal merchandise site at the Big Cartel. It's witchburn.bigcartel.com.
Or you can just go to witchburnrocks.com and click on the link for the store, and it takes you to our store. You can get like all the T-shirts and sweatshirts and the first record, and we'll have the EP available on there shortly as well.
Nice.
We'll ship it right to your door.
Perfect. And before we get out of here, just for fun and stuff, like you already answered one of the questions I was going to ask you, is if you guys had ever, having done the Dio Disciple tour now and everything, were ever going to record a Dio song, what would it be? But you already recorded Mob Rules. So.
True, but I mean, we're such huge fans of his music. I mean, obviously me since I was a little kid, and then Jacy a little bit later, and Jamie getting into it a little later. But we love Rainbow like a lot. Yeah, Stargazer is probably one of my favorite songs of all time. Yeah, I mean we love that song. I mean there's a few that we talk about, like how awesome it would be to play, Stand Up and Shout and We Do Rock and songs like that. But we keep going back, like there's talk about maybe incorporating a little bit of a something from Rainbow into what we do, maybe sometime in the near-ish future as kind of a tribute, to the experience of being on that tour and to Ronnie and his music, and yeah. And like for me, which is something that Witchburn wouldn't cover, it is a little slow, but as long as it's not about love, is one of those songs that I can just put on repeat, and it's just so beautiful and so melodic and so passionate. It brings out the romantic side in me, just that hopeless romantic.
Nice. This week, Metalholic is going to be putting out the rankings, the power rankings for all the Black Sabbath albums. If you guys each had to pick, which album would be up there at the top for each of you?
Oh man, just one of them?
Black Sabbath album?
Well, I mean, we're ranking them, but what are the two or three that go on the top for you guys? Yeah, all the Black Sabbath albums, all 4 eras.
Well, for me, the Mob Rules album is one of my all-time favorites for sure. Like, Sabotage, really. I mean, I am a huge fan of Ozzy Sabbath as well as, I love Dio Sabbath too, and for different reasons as well as, Tony Iommi and Geezer Butler reasons.
Right.
I mean, it's Sabbath, so all of it is amazing. But, Dio Sabbath and Ozzy Sabbath definitely have their different characteristics about them. So, I mean, I love the Mob Rules and the Sabotage. Those would probably be like my top 2, like songs like Neon Nights, though, and oh my God. Yeah, don't get her started. She'll go all day, man.
So nobody ever mentions the Tony Martin or Gillan era of Sabbath. It's always Dio or Ozzy. What about you, Jacy?
Master of Reality was the first one that shook me to my core, and other than that, I like them all.
Nice.
Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, yeah. Heaven and Hell, I really love Heaven and Hell. But, yeah, I mean, Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, like, again, it strikes that thing with me as a little kid because it has fluff on there.
Right.
And even though that's not, like the lyrical thing, but it's just so beautiful. But, yeah, like, next time we get in the van, we'll crank up some Neon Nights and just, like, get it going, get all pumped up, get excited for whatever show we're heading to. Like that's one of the staples in the van is that song, and of course Mob Rules. Yeah.
Awesome. So last question then before we get out of here. It's almost the end of the year, so everybody's going to start doing their best of 2012 lists. Is there an album for each of you that has sort of been kicking your ass this year that you sort of think is probably the best album of the year?
I think that the new Mastodon record, The Hunter, was definitely way up there at the top as far as albums that were released in 2012. But yeah. that was 2012, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but has it already been a year? It could have come out at the end of
I'm thinking, I almost think it was 2011, but I don't remember now. It's been a while.
It could have been. I don't know. That was one of the recent ones anyway that was awesome in my opinion. What else came out this year?
The new Deftones is pretty cool. The new Down EP is pretty cool.
Yeah. What else came out in 12?
Well, you guys being from the Pacific Northwest and Seattle in particular, Soundgarden released a new album. What did you guys think of that?
I actually haven't heard the whole thing.
I haven't heard it either. I haven't heard any good reports about it.
I mean,
I want to hear
Jack said it was pretty okay. You know, it's an important part of history in Seattle, being that it is Soundgarden. So it's got significance and all that. You know what's a really cool record though that came out in 2012 would be The Very Beast of Dio Volume 2.
Right, there was a lot of great stuff from the later stuff on there, and then of course the last recording he did with his cousin David Rock Feinstein. So
yeah, there's good songs on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we head out of here, then first off, I want to say congratulations, Jamie, on getting married. That is so awesome.
Thank you so much. I'm the happiest girl in the whole world.
Absolutely, and you have every reason to be. And Mischa and Jamie, congratulations. You guys are on the top 25 list of top women in hard rock and metal for Metalholic for 2012.
Wow.
And you'll notice, unlike Revolver and Blender and everything else, we didn't say hottest because it's really about the talent. So...
That's so awesome. My grandma would be so proud. And you say my name like how she used to say it, too. That's so funny. She's Mischa rather than Mischa, but because she would be, I wish she could see that list. And I would rather be on the list of most rocking women instead of hottest women in metal. Well, yeah. I mean, if we spent all of our time just trying to be hot, I don't think we'd be touring all that much.
Absolutely.
Or as good as
And of course, in all fairness, there isn't anybody on the list that doesn't also happen to be quite stunning, but it really is about the talent at the end of the day. So
it is.
So thank you guys so much for taking the time. We should have done this a lot sooner, and we're going to have to do this again. So before we get out of here, then, from the EP that fans will be able to order from the website here in the not too distant future, which track should we head out with?
You want to hear our version of Mob Rules?
Absolutely. We will close it out with Mob Rules. Mischa, Jamie, Jacy of Witchburn from Seattle, and hopefully soon the entire frickin' world, you record labels out there, get your heads out of your yazoos. These guys are better than 90% of the shit that's on the radio and on tour. We are heading out, Metalholic Radio. You're listening to Witchburn, Mob Rules.